It's fair to say the Porsche community is a robust and passionate one. Given my proclivity for the brand, I almost feel lucky that there are so many great events which showcase these cars, and today's guest, Adam Kern, is right in the mix. Checked It Out is a Chicago-based event showcasing Porsches for enthusiasts once a year, and I'm thrilled to say Standard H will have a booth at this year's event happening August 24th. As for the backstory and a bit more about Adam, here's our conversation. I'm your host, Wesley Smith, and you're listening to the Standard H podcast. How's it going?
What's up?
You're looking at it.
Yeah, I knew today was going to be full of all kinds of event questions, and it certainly is.
Just leading up to the event.
Yeah, today is like the day that we advertise that registrate our application. Let me use my terminology correctly. Applications close, so it's the like, hey, let's get your shit in if you want to be part of this event type of thing.
Got it.
Even though that's a fake date, if you come in with something, if you knock on my door with some awesome Porsche, I'm not going to turn you away.
Right.
You got to motivate people to get, so.
What? How many applicants are there? Now you're referring to businesses, obviously, right?
No, I'm referring to car owners.
Oh, okay. So people that are placing their cars at the event.
Yeah. Back to what you were saying, in terms of companies, I had one last outfit, this exhaust company that was kind of, I didn't hear from you in a while. And then they came back last week. Oh yeah, we want to do it. We want to have, they want to go big. And I'm like, well, okay, man, you're right into the buzzer because I'm sending out the T-shirt order and the lanyards and everything's got to go. Okay, where's your check?
Yeah.
But no, now it's just about a matter of chasing down people. The cars themselves, which we have 277 paid. So we're like way beyond last year.
What was the number last year?
Last year we had 356 applications,
Okay.
and then on Eventbrite we had 299 paid, and then there was a bunch of late folks, and like I had some people pay through our Shopify at the door, so I don't really have that much track of that stuff, but
Right.
320 or so,
Right.
you know.
That's great.
And I instituted a late fee, which was very beneficial to me
Okay.
financially. So yeah, be late all you want, people, I guess,
Right.
You just have to pay more for the same thing you could have got for less. But
Gotcha.
yeah,
So what year is this for Checked It Out?
this is the sixth event.
Okay.
So we don't count 2020, which we had a private event. We still did something on that date, but it was invite only. I don't even know if it was like 50 cars, 70 cars.
Sure.
I don't quite remember.
Now, how many different venues have you done it at?
It's different every time.
Okay, so you change it every year. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Some years are pretty, like, let's say, well, 21 and 22 are kind of close. Actually, we started developing this warehouse across the street from the 2021 venue.
Yeah.
We befriended these large developers. Like they paid $40 million for this old factory, and they said, "Do with it what you want. We don't care. It's getting torn down."
Amazing.
So in 2022, we were trying to turn that in and make it. We were doing a lot of work, a lot of demo, getting rid of a lot of shit, and we were also painting all of it black inside, or most of it. And then one night, these guys broke in and took all the electrical, all the copper, and everything. And
Oh no.
we called the guy, see what it would take to have fixed it, which he basically said it was insurmountable. And then it was like, well, we don't feel safe being there anyway at this point. knowing that the place could be breached like that.
Right.
I did have a plan B ready to go, which we just kind of on a dime activated towards that, which is this car storage warehouse that it's like 30,000 square feet inside. Now, because of that year, that 2022, that's why I got this email today from this guy who thinks, oh, I could park my car inside, come in Friday early. Like, no, that's
Right.
that was the project in 2022. That's not the reality today. And
Gotcha.
last year, we didn't have any interior space.
Gotcha.
Well, that was on 9 city blocks.
Well, I found out about this event through a client of mine. Shout out Kirby, by the way. Are you from Chicago originally?
Yes.
So, who was Adam in high school?
Oh, me in high school? Oh, man. Started off, I was still very much a skater. I had that kind of that followed that rule book, I suppose you might say. And I did kind of realize at a certain point that you can like whatever you want, and there was a certain kind of freedom in that.
That's
But that
cool.
was pretty much the way I rolled till I started driving. Um, I did kind of have like a last swan song in 1992 when I was 16 with skateboarding, and where I was driving my 1969 Cutlass to go to all the spots with my friends and everything. And that was kind of a good last hurrah. But I did kind of, I guess I still, to a certain extent today, carry that attitude with me, right? And it's for those who know my car, it's the artwork on my car is homage to Natas Kappas, who was our hero and style icon of that period, the late 80s going into the 90s. But second half of those years would probably be devoted toward music and DJing and sort of partying. I would do would do little stupid gigs back in those days, playing music and everything.
What were you spinning as a DJ?
Well, so the golden era hip hop was my thing.
Okay.
Some of those things when I would do parties for, it was so funny that when I started to get asked to do parties for high school, I would just kind of try to play what some of that crowd would kind of be remotely interested in, you
Yeah.
know. But friends around me were mostly house DJs, traditional Chicago house.
Okay.
But when it comes to 92 to 95, like all the good hip hop singles, like I basically have it.
Right.
My record collection is probably about 4,000.
Okay, so you're still into vinyl today?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Um, God, during the pandemic, I kind of had a sickness with Discogs, so I had to step away from that. It was getting too expensive.
Okay. Now, are we a Macintosh guy or what are we using?
Oh, I'm not. I'm My DJing days are strictly vinyl. Like, no, this computer stuff, I know nothing about that. Like spinning with a laptop, like I never done that.
Sorry, Macintosh, the hi-fi systems, not the computers. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I thought you said okay. No, I'm actually for home systems. I have what is that? I have Kef speakers, and then the amps are Cambridge Audio.
Okay.
So I have a few of that stuff laying around the house.
Nice.
Mostly, I always had like studio equipment. I have some old JBL studio monitors and shit like that.
Gotcha. Now, what are you listening to mostly today? Are you still 90s hip hop or
I kind of feel that I like everything that I've ever liked, if that makes sense. But you're always looking for something new, something, that just kind of inspire you. So over the years, we dug deep when it comes with music. Streaming in the house, there's a station in France called Radio Nova, which
Okay.
plays such a crazy mix of of that hip hop, like we mentioned, dub, reggae, classic rock, R&B, new music, new stuff that I wouldn't have been exposed to otherwise. It's a really cool listening experience. And then if you are listening and the evening hours in the States here, you don't get as much radio personality in French that you can't understand.
Yeah, well, okay, so interesting. So are you following more DJs these days to get that stuff, or are you like getting Spotify recommendations, or like,
Spotify never really gives me much that with their algos or whatever it excites me, I guess. There is a Radio Nova playlist that someone runs on Spotify that's updated regularly, supposedly.
okay,
That's pretty cool. But actually, too, with you being in SoCal, we listen to KCRW a lot.
sure.
This is my gal, my partner. She moved Chicago from Long Beach, so she put me onto that.
Yeah.
That's been really good lately. Plus, we have a station called Chirp here in Chicago, Chicago Independent Radio Project. We have that on a lot. Plus, it's nice to hear an on-air personality every now and then, especially on the weekends. Sunday morning when we're just hanging out.
Oh, cool.
And their DJs totally vary what they're into.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that sounds really nice. It doesn't sound like you were much of a Lollapalooza guy then.
No, I've never been to this new incarnation.
Well, it traveled back in the day, right?
I was at like the third one, I believe,
Okay.
with my brother-in-law posted a story actually online, social media the other day about going backstage, but it was Arrested Development was on that third one, and I think Smashing Pumpkins, maybe. I always, every now and then, I kind of remember to look it up to see if I went to the second or third one.
So was that like 94, I guess? Would have been like the third
It
one?
would have been 93.
Okay, 93. Got it.
I had I had tickets to go in 94 with this gal I was seeing, but then I kind of was avoiding her so that I had not going to the show.
Funny you couldn't avoid her and the thousands of people that would have been
Well,
there.
we were supposed to go together,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
package deal, and I met someone I liked much better. So the concert be damned.
That's hilarious. Well, so checked it out. I really want to talk about it from the origin story. Like, you're obviously a DJ historically, you're used to hosting events. So, first of all, checked it out. Where does this name come from?
It comes from the name of a man's Instagram handle, so that kind of paints the whole picture. That's belonged to Karsten Afgebauer, who was an executive for DHL. He traveled the world, and he had been living in Chicago for the last few years of his life. And the term "checked it out" was a inside joke with him and his wife. And he would say, and kind of, he really didn't have much of an accent, but he would say, "I'm going to check it out some cars today." He'd be off to a local Cars and Coffee, and that was just this kind of tongue-in-cheeky thing he would say to her. And then when Instagram became a thing, he made that his handle.
Oh, interesting. So, unfortunately, he passed, it sounds like. Are you still in touch with his wife or?
We haven't seen her in a while. She relocated.
Okay.
I thought maybe she was going to come to the event last year, but she said that she appeared not to be. No word about that this year. But yeah, he had a daughter and wife survivor him, so they moved to, as far as I know, I moved to the West Coast.
Okay. So, you got to know him through cars, I presume?
Yeah, really. That summer of 2017, I started to chat with him, started to get to know him because he was one of those local guys that we knew of his car. His car was social media famous locally, you might say. It
Okay.
was built by Rich Rocks in New Jersey. So it was a SC backdate aquamarine 356 paint. In the time 6 7 years ago, that was really hot shit.
Yeah.
So getting to know him, and I have to preface this to say I never really did get to know him that well.
Okay.
We were friendly, and some know this, some don't, but him making a comment on Instagram about his desire to have an outlaw Porsche event in Chicago. This was right after a few of us have been to Luft 4.
Sure.
He said that, like, wouldn't it be cool to have this Porsche event in the city of Chicago? And that was something I read, something that burned a hole in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
And then months later, he probably even forgot about the comment for all I know. But I told him, like, what about that idea you had? That, like, I didn't have an air cooled car at the time, but I'm like, hey, let's explore this, see where we can go with it. Start small, whatever, just let it fly.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, you're right.
Oh wow, that's really interesting. So what were you driving at the time?
Well, my first Porsche was 996 Cabriolet. So that was kind of the noob mistake Porsche purchase, right? I did not know a damn thing about the cars. I knew I wanted one. And I was just having this conversation the other day how in any other collector car world, muscle car world, the saying is the top goes down, the price goes up.
Right.
It is the exact opposite in the Porsche world.
It's so strange.
Well, because we appreciate the pure driving experience, so we need it. We need that hardtop. We need that coupe.
Right.
So here I'm thinking, oh, I'm get this convertible. I never had a convertible before. Cruise it around. It'll be cool. It'll be at least more rare, even though someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but cabriolet numbers are almost higher than coupe numbers in 996 production.
Oh, funny.
So that was where I started. Um, then alongside that, I had a 944 Celebration Edition.
Okay.
I got on the East Coast for a while, so I would have had in 2017 I would have had both of those cars because later in 2018 I got my Cayman that I still have to this day.
Oh,
The
cool. Was that new
944
or
and
did you
990
get?
cab are gone.
Okay.
No, the Cayman is a second year car, and the disastrous year that was 2020, I blew it up racing.
Oh no.
And last year it officially came back to life, and now it has a 3.8 997 S motor in it.
Sweet.
Hot rod.
Yeah.
It's pretty fast.
That's cool. What color is that car?
It is boring ass Arctic silver,
Okay. That's
but it
funny.
was a good purchase at the right time. I've had so many silver cars in my life, but
Well, they stay clean.
yeah, it looked pretty good.
Yeah. So, how did you get into Porsche to begin with?
So it was certainly nothing I grew up with. My dad in the late 80s started getting back into the muscle car thing. He bought a new one like every year back in the 60s and into the 70s before he got married to my mom. So the late 80s, we're going to the typical boomer car shows, all that shit. And I enjoyed that very much. He was very pro GM, especially Pontiacs. He did have a cool 67 Oldsmobile 442 that was probably my favorite car of his in these later years. But then he turned that into a 64 GTO, which he had for like 20 years, which was a
Wow.
hell of a car and ended up on Bring a Trailer, but that's a whole nother story. So that's kind of the background of what I was interested in, pretty much my whole life, right? Um, 12 years ago, 14 years ago, I started realizing or thinking about 911, started looking at, the builders online. I remember even one time thinking like, why is a GT2 more than the GT3? That doesn't
Right.
make any sense. But I didn't understand. But I did know that a 911 is a rear engine car And to me, that made it like just like a cult film.
Mm.
There's no other such things on the road anymore, right? It is the one. So that gives it a certain whatever it is, makes it very
Unique.
special. So
Yeah.
so I was kind of curious, and then I ended up buying a giant coffee table book off of Amazon, like just one of those weird purchases. Who knows why the hell I did it, but now I have an extensive Porsche library, but it's still there. So this was just kind of a couple of years thinking about that. I remember it was 997, and the base 997 price was 85,000 roughly at the time.
Right.
And just started thinking about that. And a big part of my story is the difficulty that I went through. I am a widower, excuse me. And so by 2012, I had lost my wife, Sally, to ovarian cancer.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. And her company, when benefits, basically I got a year's salary. And, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, I don't know, but I felt that was kind of could be rewarded or do a certain indulgence. So I ended up looking for a Porsche.
Wow.
And that's how I bought that 996 cab.
Okay. Got it.
Bought on a Saturday, kind of on a whim, traded in my 2005 Honda Accord for it, get a couple $1,000 off the car.
Right.
And by Monday, I knew about PCA. I seen some videos on Facebook or whatever, and thought, oh man, if I could go racing or whatever these people do, deeds and autocross stuff that I had no clue about at the time. Joined, but it wasn't until probably a good year and a half later where I became active, started meeting people, started running with SCCA,
Yeah.
Solo, and some other organizations, and then started having fun. And then, there's when you're in your mid late 30s, you're not really meeting new folks outside of work, right?
Right.
So, and this whole scene and just the friends who picked up doing this stuff was like so needed at the time. I mean, not that it's not anymore, of course it still is, but it was like such a wonderful thing to happen at that moment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Just like a sense of community when you kind of felt alone.
Yeah, and it's just even despite what happened to me, it's like at that age you're not really meeting folks, and then other people are your other friends maybe are starting to have their families, and you know, things from your old friend groups go kind of separate ways, which is no offense to anyone, but
Yeah.
that's just kind of the way things are. And then now, because of all these things that we do, we just went on a big trip with a bunch of Porsche guys, and we go places. Like I was just in Las Vegas, and friends I know through the community, Steve Thiel at Porsche Gauden, he handles the classic account. He like showed me around and took us on a tour of the owner's collection, which was incredible.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's so lucky to be a part of this and get to experience all these different things.
I think you had mentioned having a 3.2 Carrera at one point. Do you still have that car?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So is that what you took to Vegas?
Oh no, I was just in and out last week.
Oh, okay. Okay, you flew. Got
Yeah.
it. Got it.
No, my 3.2 is getting prepped for Checked It Out, and I actually have some paint and body work to do on the bumpers myself.
Okay.
But getting the valves adjusted and some other things. We just put in Shielman seats the other day, did new wheels, so it's going to have a different look for the event this year.
So what's the spec, or can you not share it yet?
Oh, I mean, people are pretty familiar with it, but I'm just changing the bumper, color of the bumpers, and they got Group 4 Steelies. I've had a few rallies where I didn't make it back in one piece.
Oh no. Oh gosh.
Well, one of them we got towed out, and the other one I lost the star, so I had to get pushed all the way back home from West Virginia on the Ruclos rally. But so
Wow.
we're just addressing that stuff. I'm painting the bumpers, Porsche code 7575, which is beige gray from the short wheelbase era, kind of a sandy gray tan color. So we're
Okay.
gonna, I think that kind of complements the red and the gold pretty well. But how these things are with me is like, okay, we just try something for a while. If you like it, stays longer than others, and we'll see.
Yeah. What's the history of the car? Like, where'd you get it from?
So I bought it on the East Coast, bought another classic Porsche on the East Coast. I made that mistake twice. It's just as bad, I guess, as buying it here in Chicago. But so I woke up one morning and I was tagged in a Facebook Marketplace ad by my friend Alex. And it was this 3.2 Carrera in garnet red. Um, by that evening, I had a deal with the seller, gave him a deposit. And then, months later, after a bunch of stuff, I got the car, brought it to Chicago. And then we've been working on it since then.
Gotcha.
I got it for less than 30 grand, which, of course, now, even though it's only a few years ago we're talking, I mean, that sounds like a super deal, but there's way more work, money, and blood, sweat, and tears that have gone in it since then.
Yeah. 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 So when you say you made a mistake of buying it on the East Coast, is that just because of the winters? Like, is there rust involved or what?
There's rust. I'm gonna have to adjust the front pan this off season. There's a big hole in the door jamb
Oh, interesting.
quarter. It's a common spot, but seller didn't disclose that.
Oh, wonderful.
Got out there to see it and like, holy shit, what the hell is that?
Wow.
I didn't make an issue of it. I'm like, I just deal with it, whatever. Let
Wow.
me get my car and get out of here, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So
But
what
yeah,
other? Oh, go
it's
ahead. Sorry.
become my car. It's kind of part of my identity. I think that the car roughly sat for like 5 years or something, but now I've driven it 30,000 miles.
Oh,
I
that's
had one year
great.
where I did 12,000. Was at Rensport last year. It spent 13 months on the West Coast. I stored it at Dwayne Wick's house in Vegas for a while, and then I had a spot in Scottsdale, and folks at Porsche North Scottsdale took care of me while I was there too, and
Cool.
it was all building up to the whole Rensport experience last year. But it started with me trying to make it to the Overcrest Rally when it was in Idaho in 2022, and which I didn't make it because brake caliper froze up.
Oh no.
But long story short, I ended up making the Overcrest Rally this past fall in Oregon. So that was kind of a mission accomplished sort of thing. And then finally driving the car all the way back to Chicago. And I took, the northern route through Montana, which was
Sweet.
cool.
Yeah.
Because, for us people, when we make these drives, coming from Chicago, no offense to Iowa and Nebraska, but it's boring as shit. You cannot get through those states fast enough.
Right. Right.
And then you get to Colorado, and it's just like, oh, it's a revelation.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Seen Through Glass? Do you know Sam Fain? Do you watch him at all?
Yeah, I think I've heard him on Spike's car radio.
Yeah, recently. Yeah. He's actually doing a cross country drive right now in a Gen 1 Boxster, no less, speaking of convertibles. And he said the exact same thing on his latest video, basically, where he's like going through these, the plains, basically, leading to Colorado. It's like you get to Colorado and it's just like, oh.
Yeah,
But yeah, I totally get it.
some back roads you could take to spice it up.
Sure.
But do you know what though? I had an amazing experience in the panhandle of Oklahoma.
Okay.
Straightest, perfectly straightest road you ever seen in your life. But it was like tumbleweeds, and we had hardly any traffic, and we were just cruising along pretty fast, and the visuals were really cool. So sometimes those straight roads can be fun,
Yeah, totally.
believe it or not.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. So what other cars do you have other than Porsches? Do you drive anything else?
Well, I do have the 996, call it kind of a rally project. It's lifted. I run 15-inch wheels in the wintertime with the snow tires. Run through some snow events and rallies and a little bit of dirt stuff. But other than that, I now daily two Lexuses basically.
Two Lexuses.
Yeah, I have LX 470, which is pretty much like my favorite car.
Okay.
It's kind of taking it off the road right now because it's gonna have some things done to it, so I could take it out west in the wintertime
Okay.
to Moab again. But
Sweet.
the 100 series Land Cruiser, the 4.7 V8. It's 2004. I love that it's got crazy technology of the era.
Yeah.
It's just so great to drive, and I have 245,000 miles on it.
Wow.
Bought it in about 170. I've been to a lot of places with it, camping and stuff like that.
Cool.
And then so I replaced that as kind of a daily with an LS 460. Now, I've never owned a sedan in my life.
Right.
I was always like four-door cars or old man cars, fuck that.
Well, especially Lexus, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, but I kind of like I said, I admired them from afar, but now I sort of need the utility because sometimes I do have to, you know, um, commute and have older family members or whatever, and
Sure.
give people a ride and stuff.
Yeah.
So I found this LX 460. It's a 2016. The guy just moved from California, so it's perfect. Underneath is totally perfect.
Yeah.
At 155,000 miles on it, but it still feels like a brand new car. And not only with it, so when you look at those cars locally, most of the ones that are ordered around here are all-wheel drive, which I'm not into. If I want 4x4, I get my truck.
Sure.
So the two-wheel drive, rear wheel, much more fun. There's like 26 more horsepower, and it comes with a better transmission, 8-speed trans.
Wow.
So it's been fun driving that big boat around.
That's cool. No, it sounds amazing. My grandparents had a 740 IL from like 1996, I think, or 94. And I just remember like my grandfather letting me drive that as like a 16-year-old once.
Yeah.
And it was the most comfortable. I mean, at the time, obviously, like now there's all sorts of like suspension, differences in cars now than then. But like it just, that longer wheelbase was just incredible. And so I'm sure your LS feels like a limousine.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
That's
I
really great.
I, I really would have wanted to find a long wheelbase version, but that wasn't in the cards. But probably wouldn't have fit in my garage either. But
Well, it's funny because I didn't even know there was one. I'm not too familiar. I mean, I know what an LS looks like, but I didn't
those
realize there
are
was like a longer
LS
wheelbase.
460L,
Okay.
and then there is the more unicorn, the L with the executive package.
Oh, cherry wood trays that fall down in the
You
back, or
could
what?
full on recline in the back seat. You could lay flat. It's like
Unreal.
first class airplane shit.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like I've seen one or two online.
That sounds like a car Brian Scotto would have. I don't know if you know Brian at all.
Yeah, but if it's Audi,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's funny. So I know through our emails you had said that like your favorite part of this event, checked it out, is art direction. Um, and that you sort of feel like you've missed your calling.
well,
So
yeah, I was a fine arts major in college. In high school, I was always in the fine arts program for 4 years, and then my senior year, I added graphic design to that, which I was like, oh my god, this shit is so easy. These people don't draw anything from freehand. What the fuck?
right.
But anyway, so
Where'd you go to college?
a small school called Columbia in Chicago. It's a
Okay.
private school. The what the Matrix directors went there. Pat Sajak went there. Kanye, I think, had a cup of coffee there. So, but yeah, after toiling around kind of aimlessly in college, and I came back to Chicagoland after I did a semester at Arizona State at one point in my life, but when I came back, then I was just like, well, maybe fashion design could be kind of some kind of creative career, and I ended up pursuing that, kind of sticking with it, and but then nothing really materialized post graduating, basically.
Okay. So what is the day job now?
I'm in reinforcing steel, so though even though these days I do office work and push paper and all that, I'm a local one iron worker where we do rebar, so we are known as rod busters. Um, Started doing that in 2008.
Okay.
Lo and behold, that happened during the great financial crisis, which at the time, especially being younger, you don't really realize what's going on, but you knew you needed the job and a career change, even though I was looking for a lot of other things. And actually, at that time, I did an interview with Oxford Clothes.
Okay.
If you're familiar, kind of the best suit maker in the country. I don't know what their status is these days, but they used to make everything by hand in the West Loop in Chicago.
Interesting.
I think must have moved their production somewhere else, but
Okay.
they were the suit maker of all the presidents until probably start ending with Bush.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but I got an interview in there, and I was like, I don't really show much crazy emotions, but even though inside it was a place I wanted to be, just looking at all those bolts and all those plaids and everything laid out, but
Yeah.
ultimately it didn't work out. So that was kind of the end of that.
What was so what did you do first when you get out of college then?
Oh, I just ended up having some sales jobs. I worked at a fabric place too briefly that was in the upholstery industry. Was doing loan origination before 2008, like everyone else was.
So you're still doing like the steel stuff now?
Yeah,
So like what is a typical day then? Like what's a project that you would work on?
we were mostly doing heavy highway construction, and right now, like when I was just in Las Vegas, I had to work on putting together this big bid package
Okay.
for the state of Illinois. So that's kind of like our bread and butter. But
Nice.
so I sent out proposals to the general contractors that we're trying to work with. Also, I handle all the insurance end of things. Actually, one of the insurance companies we worked with in the business is actually the same people who insure Checked It Out in all my events.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They've given me the best prices. But yeah, safety insurance and then proposals,
Interesting.
certification. So there's a lot of things that goes on with getting employees background checked and training. We've got a lot of jobs around rail lately, so I've been busy with that.
Cool. What
But yeah, I haven't put in any steel in a long time, which kind of sucks because I really miss it.
Okay.
But if I was busy in the field, as they say, doing that, I would not be able to take phone calls and run the events. My side hustle here, that is the events, so that would
Right.
be a bit of a tragedy.
So I know you're pretty focused on remaining in Chicago with Checked It Out. Like you're very adamant about it being a Chicago-based event. Is
Yeah, you could
that
say that.
is there any reason why you wouldn't want to do it elsewhere? Is it just because it's the facility of it being in your backyard, or
I mean, we've done two, like, let's call them pop-ups now. So first one was in 2021 when Porsche had Sports Car Together Fest in Indianapolis.
okay, cool.
So basically, we got 100 cars together at a brewery, and the MO was to give folks coming from around the country a little taste of what we do. And actually, so that event coincided with Luft number 7, and Patrick Long reached out to me because I was supposed to have checked it out that weekend, I was more than happy to oblige him and move it. And in return, we had a little checked it out section of that Lithka cult, which was a great honor.
Wow, that's really cool.
And then so fast forward to this past year, Friday night during Rensport weekend, we hosted an event. Oh, I don't know, we got 150 some cars and a few hundreds of people, and got to give folks from around the country who were not too familiar with what we do a little taste of what we do.
That's
And we all
cool.
had a great time. And I would have made that a much bigger party, but the local folks in the venue we were using got nervous
Uh,
about all the traction and reaction and folks that were talking about the event. And so it was very weird for me to go dark with the promotion 11 days out,
right.
but that's what I had to do because I just wanted to make sure that this event went off. I didn't want to raise any flags with the authorities. I had never been to Monterey before, so it's like totally uncharted territory. But I still hear about that party today, so it was quite a success.
That's great. Yeah, I hate that I missed that Ren Sport, and I don't even remember why I missed it. I think I was
Yeah, I remember
traveling or
asking
something.
you if you were going when we
Yeah.
were chatting last year.
Yeah, I don't even remember why
The
I
last
missed
weekend
it.
of September into October.
Yeah. I think I was out of town or something. Anyway, that's crazy.
We are interested in expanding and doing little kind of collabs in other areas.
Sure.
I know in Naples, Florida, there's interest, because there's a lot of Chicago folks there.
Yeah.
Same with Phoenix, that's certainly feasible.
Yep.
Um, the Twin Cities. But then one thing I really want to do, and I've been talking to some other folks about this, is something in New York City.
Oh, that'd be sick. Yeah.
Just I'd like to find a right partner that's probably not in automotive,
Mm-hmm.
some kind of cool collab. Just keep it small and manageable, and just create create a good experience that people remember.
I have some ideas already, but we could talk offline. Well, listen, man, I really appreciate you taking the time. I'm really looking forward to the event. Like, is there anything that you wanted to mention about Checked It Out? Obviously, it's going to be, what is it, August 24th?
August 24th is the main event. We are crossing new territory. We have 3 days of events basically. So
Okay.
Thursday the 22nd at Porsche downtown, Bart Kirkens from Belgium is going to be doing a meet and greet at the Porsche dealer. So there's tickets available for that. Friday we have what we call a preview party. So Porsche has the classic restoration challenge. This is the third year in a row that we are hosting the Area East final. So Porsche is East, South, and West. The West final is going to be at Car Week, and then I think the South is probably going to be in Atlanta. But
Okay.
Checked It Out declares the winners coming out of the East. And did I lose you?
Nope.
Oh, the screen went black. Sorry. So this preview party, we're gonna have a cocktail party, food truck, everything. We're gonna hang out. People are gonna get to see the challenge cars. There's gonna be the People's Choice winner declared, and also 000. Pete Stout, editor in chief, is going to come with David Donner, and they're going to talk about their days on Pikes Peak with the Turbo S that won the stock class championship and set a
Amazing.
record.
Yeah.
So that's another feather in our cap. It's a huge honor to work with them, have them come out to our event this year. We're so grateful. And Saturday we're going to do our thing. So for 6 hours, we're going to have about 400 cars and thousands of people and food and music and just hang out.
Yeah, it's going to be epic.
And there'll be folks like you guys to meet everyone.
Yeah. No, I'm certainly excited. Obviously, I'll have my booth there selling my wares. How many other companies are doing something similar to what I'm doing, like booths and such?
Oh, it's probably like 16.
Okay, cool. Nice.
Everyone can be scattered about. So I don't, we never have everything in the same area. that's a philosophy of Dan Kubrick, who is kind of I like to say that Dan is the Jeff Zwart of the Checked It Out operation. So Dan is an architect with Murphy Yawn, and he's very meticulous about the way things are designed, the way the cars are staged. We don't just throw cars in a grid and say, "Hey, here's your car show."
Right.
That term,
Right.
but yeah. So Dan spreads out the sponsors, the booths. You'll never see a bunch of like cars together. We mix things up by color and, the generation of 911 or what have you. We'll never group things that are the same together. We like to mix it up.
Yeah.
Even though we have requests for some people, I need to be by my friend with the GTs. No, you don't.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of every time you peek around a corner, hopefully you see something that surprises you by way of doing that.
Yeah, and we like to make it look good for the cameras.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really cool, man. Well, Adam, thanks so much for your time. Is there anything else you wanted to promote or cover?
That's just 3 days. They're coming up quick, but I could use more time to get ready, but whatever it is, what it is, we're going to do our thing.
Sweet. All right, man. Well, I will see you on the 22nd for sure, as well as the 23rd and 24th.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, man. Well, thanks so much, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Okay. See ya.
See ya.
This wraps up this episode of the Standard Age podcast. If you like what you heard, I'd love it if you'd share it with a friend or two. And if you have a moment, please rate and review the show as it helps others discover these episodes. It absolutely helps far more than you realize. Shout out to Jensen Reed and Super Beautiful for the theme track. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.